Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw Reacts, once again doing a podcast. You heard that correctly, or you're hearing it now. The Chainsaw Reacts podcast is revived, at least for now. We'll see what happens. I don't know what episode this is. I have no idea. I'm literally winging this episode. Like, I tweeted it out earlier saying, I'm thinking about reviving it. And literally 5 minutes ago, I said, you know what? Let's do a podcast. I'll release it Monday. I'm recording it Saturday. That's okay. So, I will be talking about two things in this podcast. We'll be discussing two things. The Defenders spoiler talk. So if you have not seen The Defenders, do not listen to the first part of this podcast. If you want to hear the second part, which is Game of Thrones Season 7 talk, it'll be spoilers too. Then skip to that. And if you don't watch either or haven't seen either, then this podcast is not for you. Maybe a future one down the line will be. But anyways, let's get into now the Defenders spoiler talk. Now, if you skipped ahead to the Defender spoiler talk with the timestamp in the description, I will say it again. Spoilers. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers if you haven't seen the show. I'm going to talk the entirety of the show. Not just a couple episodes. I've seen the entirety of the show within 2 days. This was, not surprisingly, this was a really well done mini-series. It wasn't a full 13 episodes. I kind of felt at points that I wish it was more than 8 episodes, but at the same time, it was beautifully done. Because they could have easily followed the concept of, okay, the first episode of The Defenders, they're all going to meet up and they're all going to be best friends and it's going to work. No. It takes a couple of episodes for them to finally run into each other. And what I like is that it wasn't like all four of them showed up in one place at the same time. That happened, but not all at once. Like, at one point, Luke Cage and Iron Fist have a little bit of a fight, and they don't know each other at that point. And then there's a moment where Matt Murdock and Jessica Jones run into each other, and it's like, oh, okay. And they go their separate ways until they all come together within episode 3 towards the end, which was phenomenal, by the way. That was a great way to bring them all together in that building, which was the main central focus of the entire series of the Defenders. But I think it was beautifully done, and people point out this a lot, and I will have to agree. The colors that they used in this show was phenomenal, the way they shot this. Because what I mean by that, and if you haven't seen the show and you're listening to this, I don't know why, but if you've seen the show at any given time, whether it's one episode or the entire thing, you notice that when it's a Daredevil scene, there's a lot more red. Luke Cage, more yellow in the scene. When you watch a Jessica Jones scene, more blue-purplish. And then, of course, Iron Fist, green. And I think it was used really well within this show because it kind of pays homage to their own respective individual shows while also, basically building them in this show within the Defenders. And like I was mentioning earlier, they could have easily made it to where, okay, all four characters are going to be really friendly and all of that. No. First of all, Jessica Jones is the most standoffish person in the entirety of the MCU. Like, I think she's the most standoff person. So obviously she's not going to be like, oh, okay, you harness your chi. I'm about that life. You a guy, you wear a red suit like a devil. I'm with that. No. It takes her a long time to kind of come around, but she's in it for her own reasons, and so is Luke Cage, but they all have to team up for different reasons, and they have to team up to take on the Hand, which I think was beautifully set up throughout the entirety of these shows. And I think Jessica Jones didn't really touch on the Hand from what I remember, but Luke Cage didn't really deal with a lot of it either, but it was Iron Fist and Daredevil that dealt a lot with the Hand, and they found ways for Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, who really didn't deal with the Hand, to get involved within the Defenders to help Daredevil and Iron Fist take on the Hand. They found ways to bring them into the fold and make it not seem too out of the normal, like, okay, this makes sense because of this kid, and Jessica Jones, it makes sense because she was hired by a client, and it all just happens to her, and then the brainwashed Elektra shows up, and we all know how that went down because, you've seen the show, obviously, but I think it was really well done, and I think with them all facing the Hand at the end, I think it was really a cool way to bring them all together. They could have found like a big bad, like a different big bad that's not involved with the Hand, but it all brought it all brought it full circle with the Hand being the main focus of the show when it's been the main focus of a lot of the individual shows. Really well done. What I liked and what I think was really interesting is they cast Sigourney Weaver for this role, and you're like, who is she? You see, my theory, when I heard that she was cast, my theory, honestly, was that she was going to be playing the mother of Danny Rand, the mother of Iron Fist, that we think is dead, but she's actually not. That was my first theory, because we saw in the flashbacks in Iron Fist of Danny Rand's mother. Now, obviously, they could get away with it, but I'm thinking, okay, maybe because we see her fly out. Like, I don't think we see her body. We only see his dad's body. I don't think we see her dead body. So, my implication was maybe she's playing Danny's mom. And that turns out to be not the case. But what's more interesting, and this is a huge spoiler, if you're still listening, I don't know why you would be if you haven't seen the show. Huge spoiler, but they kill her off in the 6th episode. Like, at the end of the episode, Elektra, the Black Sky, kills her. What? I was so shocked. I really wish at that moment, it's one of those moments for me as a YouTuber, a reactor, if you will, that I wish I had a camera on me when I was watching that scene, because I was in utter shock. I was speechless. I was silent for 30 seconds watching her getting stabbed, her falling on the floor, and the episode ending, and I'm just sitting there in my chair in my living room going, what? After 30 seconds of silence, I go, what? And then I thought, well, maybe she's not dead. Maybe it's a ploy. No, she was dead. And after the show ended, after I finished it, I found an interview with the showrunner for a spoiler interview talking about these burning questions, about the ending and all this kind of stuff. And the question was, why did you kill Sigourney Weaver's Alexandra? I think that was her name. It wasn't Alexandria. It was Alexandra. Why did you kill her off in episode 6? And he said, because the audience would assume that this brand new character who's the big bad of the season would die at the end of the show. So I wanted to surprise people and kill her off earlier because you don't expect it. And then we continue on with the rest of the show, which is 2 more episodes. It was a big shock. I wasn't expecting it, and it was smart on his part to go, we set her up, we did all these things, we set these things in motion, and then she dies. And her creation, her bringing Elektra back, being this Black Sky, her using the rest of this stuff to bring the hand back from the dead, she used the last of it on resurrecting Elektra, becoming the Black Sky. Her last thing that she did got her killed. Interesting. It's an interesting way to go for her. I wasn't expecting it. It was a nice surprise. And I do want to talk about another big spoiler that was at the end. Now, when I was watching this scene unfold, and when Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist were going back up from the hole, and Daredevil said, look, I'm going to stay. I'm going to try to get through Elektra. And as they're fighting, he's slowly getting to her, and then they eventually start kissing as the building is falling. And I honestly thought, because the way the rest of the episode progresses, the finale, they tell you he's dead. You don't see his body, but they say he didn't survive it. They can't find his body. He didn't make it out. And for a brief moment I went, they announced a Daredevil Season 3. What if that was a ploy? What if it was a way for them to trick us to think that, oh, okay, no one's going to die, and they actually kill off a main character in the Defenders? If they honestly killed Daredevil, I would have been mad. But I've also would have went, that's interesting. Because the guy who started it out sacrificed himself to save everybody else, and we're going to continue on with this Netflix portion of the MCU without Daredevil. It would have been crazy, but I would have eventually went, okay, let's see how they handle this. But in fact, he's not dead. Now, the one thing they did not answer was, where's Elektra? I think she's still out there, obviously, but I'm curious to know what's going to happen with him. Now, everyone's referencing Born Again. That's going to be the storyline for Season 3. I think it makes logical sense the way that the ending of the show implies, okay, it's probably going to be Born Again. It's going to be their version of Born Again. It's not going to be the exact adaptation, obviously, but they're probably going to get pretty close because they're able to do a lot of the things that was in the comics. So I'm expecting that Born Again will be the Season 3, obviously, the way they ended it. So it's pretty interesting. And Luke and Jessica ended on decent terms. They were just chit-chatting a little bit. And then Iron Fist, obviously, he is more determined to stay in New York, and this is his city. So I think what this kind of implies, not for Daredevil specifically, but for the Luke Cage show, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist. So Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist Season 2, all 3 of those shows that are going into Season 2 now. I have a feeling that what's going to happen is that all of these shows there's going to be some more connectivity. Like, I think we're going to see more characters from Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones crossing over. Now, do the main characters cross over with each other? Maybe. But I kind of see that some of these characters that are individually a part of these individual 3 shows could cross over more because there's more connective tissue because now they've all met. So I could see Claire going over to possibly Iron Fist, or I could see Misty, which I think they kind of reference how Misty's going to go to Iron Fist. But I mean, Jessica Jones could pop up on Luke Cage. Luke Cage could show up on the Iron Fist show. Iron Fist could show up on both Luke Cage and Jessica Jones for like a couple of scenes or something. Who knows? Because now they know each other, then they can help each other out when the time needs be. I mean, who knows? But I think it'd be interesting if they did that, because now that they've kind of united, that they can kind of help each other, because they're all in kind of the same area generally. But that's just my theory. But overall, I think the Defenders was really well done. I wasn't really sure what to expect because I saw I think the first 2 trailers. I didn't see the final trailer that was released the day before, but I just went, okay, this is going to be interesting. And the way they were kind of setting it up, I mean, okay, I don't see them all uniting in the first episode, but the way they did unite was unique, and Stick was the main focus. And oh yeah, Stick. They killed Stick off, but his last thing that he was going to do can be seen in 2 different ways. He was going to kill the Iron Fist so the Hand could not get their hands, the Hand get their hands on him. So that could be seen as a good thing, even though you're killing Danny Rand, but at the same time, the Hand won't succeed. But at the same time, that's kind of a dick move and a villain move, because he's going to murder this innocent guy that is trying to protect New York, trying to help out, and Stick's going to kill him. So either way, and I think it was interesting that Elektra, aka the Black Sky, took him out, and there wasn't like a thing where it's a cop out where, okay, he's not dead. No, he was dead. They killed Stick off. I feel like it was an interesting move, but at the same time, it kind of made sense for his character, because he was around during Daredevil, and it's like, okay, we have all of this, and now he knows about the Iron Fist and all this kind of stuff. Okay, now we can get rid of him. Like, you know, he's ran his course. He's been around for a bit. Okay, time to move on. He united the Defenders. Now he's trying to do something crazy at the end. Let's get rid of him. It's going to be kind of sad because I like his character. He's kind of a dick, but also he helps out. But it's like, on one hand, like I said, one hand he's a dick, other hand he's kind of helpful. But, you know, you take it as it is, because Stick is always, he says something, but he means something else. It's weird. But what was most telling about the show, and they admitted that they were shooting the finale of the Defenders, the last episode, when Iron Fist came out. So they didn't really know the backlash for Iron Fist, like his own show, would be, because they didn't know. They didn't know what the backlash was going to be until the show was released, because they were filming the finale, so they thought that everything was going to be okay. But it wasn't. But I think what was most telling is that Iron Fist was probably the most important character of the story in terms of his involvement with the story, because the Hand ultimately needs the Iron Fist. And who's the Iron Fist? Danny Rand. So there's a lot of people on Twitter that are like, I love the Defenders, except Iron Fist. And I'm like, well then, I don't know how you could love the Defenders, because even though, yes, there are individual scenes with these different characters who are not Iron Fist, but Iron Fist is the main character that they all want. Like you do understand in the finale that Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage went to go save Danny, Iron Fist, because the Hand had him. So he's the main focus of the story. He was tied up and they were trying to hide him because the Hand's after him. He was the main focus. Now, people said he got better in the show because he was interacting with these other characters, and when him and Luke Cage were interacting, it was better. But let's be honest. The Defenders was not Iron Fist Season 2, but the Defenders was mostly an Iron Fist story because he was mostly the focus of it, because they need him. They need him to unlock this doorway, this lock, whatever. They needed him, and they ultimately got what they wanted, and it was all about getting the Iron Fist. So I think it's interesting that so much backlash for his character, so much backlash for his show, and yet he's still the main focus of the team-up show. I mean, I think it's pretty interesting. Yeah, yes, you could say Daredevil has a really important role. They all have important roles, all 4 characters, but it was mainly the focus of, okay, we have to protect Danny, we have to go save Danny. It was all about him. So I think that's pretty interesting. I loved all the side characters that really popped up. There were some side characters that didn't show up that I really wanted to. One in particular, let's be honest, guys, if the Punisher would have showed up for one episode, holy crap, it would have been phenomenal. It would have been beautiful to see Frank Castle interacting with the other Defenders, but that did not happen, unfortunately. But maybe season 2 of the Defenders, the Punisher will be recruited. Who knows? But it would be amazing to see the Punisher teaming up with the Defenders at some point. But yeah, they mostly brought all of the important characters from the shows onto onto the Defenders to kind of interweave it all in. And what I like is that all these secondary characters from the 4 shows were not like overshadowing everything. Like they were not in every single scene. They weren't a huge part of it, but they were there to kind of show the connective tissue with, okay, we have the 4 main Defenders, but we also have all these other characters as well, to kind of bring it all into this nice little package that you can enjoy. Like immediately, Foggy and Luke Cage have interaction immediately in the first episode. It's like, what? And then you go from there, and then you see these other really cool interactions where these characters who have never met before, who have been a part of these shows, finally meet for the first time in the Defenders. It's pretty cool. Like, people, obviously, the comparison is like, it's like the Avengers. Yes, but it's like, it's an 8-hour movie, basically. That's what it is. And it's pretty badass, for sure. And I don't know what else to say except the fact that I want a season 2. I don't know when we're going to get a season 2, but if the Defenders is as successful as Daredevil and these other shows, I think it's going to get a season 2, a season 2 green light. But I think what they want to do is to have all of these other individual shows out first before the Defenders season 2. So we're getting the Punisher later this year, from what we understand. We're going to get a Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist Season 2, and we're getting a Daredevil Season 3. Now, I'm assuming after all of these shows come out, we're going to get a Season 2 of the Defenders, and I think after that, we might get some more individual seasons for these characters, but I'm assuming that after the Defenders Season 2, we're probably going to get more, like new characters getting their own shows. Like maybe they'll pop up, maybe a character that will pop up in Jessica Jones Season 2 will get a spinoff, and they'll have their own show after the Defenders Season 2. Who knows? They could do something like that, because they have a lot of characters already at their disposal right now, but there's a ton more characters they could introduce in the Netflix MCU universe section of the MCU, the Netflix Marvel stuff. They have more characters they can introduce to either appear first on one of these shows, or they could just automatically have their own individual show. Because what they did was, the one time they had a character appear first on another show before their own individual show was Luke Cage. Daredevil just immediately went and he had his first season. Jessica Jones, same thing, except they had Luke Cage introduced in the Jessica Jones show, and then his show went on. And then Iron Fist, without any introduction to any of the other shows, had his own season. So I think that's probably what they're going to do, probably at the Defender Season 2, is to have just characters who have not appeared before in any of the shows just have their own show. Just have their own show. Don't know who it could be, but we'll see what happens. But the Punisher was so well received, they gave him his own show. Elektra could have had her own show, but they had bigger plans for her, for the Defenders, so that's why they did the whole thing. But I bet if Elektra did not have big plans or wasn't really a presence in the Defenders, Elektra might have had her own show. Who knows? But I'm expecting that we'll hear a lot more news. I mean, there's always rumors about Moon Knight, which, please, Moon Knight, please give me a fucking Moon Knight show. There's also rumors of a Ghost Rider, which they've done Ghost Rider on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They could just use him. They could just use that Ghost Rider and have his own show. Who knows? But there's so many possibilities. But with how this show progressed and how it really brought together this team, and sometimes they were apart and they came back together, it was just beautifully done. Overall, beautifully done, I have to say. Round of applause to the Defenders. They fucking knocked it out of the fucking park. Jesus Christ. So anyways, without that rambling, guys, let me take, as I've said in previous podcasts, if you guys have heard my previous podcast, you know that I say this, and it's true, because literally I have to do this or my throat will crash and burn on me. I have to take, as I call, a sip of the drink. In this case, it is a Mountain Dew, because I need something to cleanse my palate, to keep my throat from dying. So let me do that. Okay, so next up, Game of Thrones Season 7 talk. Now, I'm only going to talk up to Episode 5. Now, obviously, Episode 6 would have already aired at this point, but I'm going to talk about up to Episode 5 at this point, because I'm pre-recording this on a Saturday night. So far, Game of Thrones Season 7 to me has done a phenomenal job. Like, it, even though it's, as the kids say, as they've all said, it feels rushed, at the same time, I think it's been really well done because they're doing a lot of things that we've wanted forever, and they're getting to them faster, but also in a way that it feels normal in a sense. Like, there's, like, okay, in past seasons of Game of Thrones, one of the biggest gripes that fans had was that it takes forever for certain things to happen. Certain things happen really fast, other things take a long time because they show these characters traveling from one place to another. There's interesting conversations, but at the same time, just get to the fucking place already. Well, that wasn't the case until Season 7. Now, they really don't show you the journey to the destination. They show you from where they're going to start on their destination, and they just show them getting there. Like Jorah, when he got fixed, when he got saved from grayscale, I think that's the disease name. When he got cured, they didn't show him traveling from where he was to Dragonstone to back to Daenerys. They didn't show that. He just popped up like an episode later. Like, I think it was 2 episodes after he left, he pops up. They didn't show that journey. They didn't show the journey that Jon Snow, Davos, Gendry, Jorah, and all these characters, they didn't show them traveling to the Wall to meet up with Tormund. They didn't show that. They showed them getting off of the ship and getting onto the sand with their boats, but they didn't show them traveling and talking. They just showed them getting there, and then boom, they're leaving, and they're going over the Wall, and they're going to go and find a white. They're going to go find a soldier of the dead army, and they're going to bring it back to prove to Daenerys and hopefully Cersei that the dead is real. The Night King is real. We got to band together. It's not going to happen that way, but you get my point. Like, that's the idea of it. So, yes, sure, they're rushing things, but at the same time, they have to, because they kind of set themselves up to, like, where, okay, this season, we're not going to have 10 episodes. We're only going to have 7. Okay, so does that mean longer episodes? Sometimes, but mostly we're just going to rush things. We're going to get to things faster, and that's all we're going to really do. Okay, and it's been working out, in my personal opinion, very well. I mean, fans are really happy with, like, every single episode, something major happens. Because in past Game of Thrones seasons, I'm comparing because, you know, you have to compare. This is the first season that doesn't have 10 episodes. In the past, not every single episode of Game of Thrones had a big reveal or a big moment. But they had cool moments, but not, like, huge, like, holy shit, game-changing moments. In Season 7, it feels like every single episode has game-changing moments or something like, holy shit, that is crazy. Like, characters interacting for the first time. They drop a huge bombshell of information on somebody. Who knows? Because you get my point. Okay, anyways. What I like is that literally it's like, okay, this is the season of reunions. This is the season of reunions, and this is the season of first-time characters interacting. This season, Arya and Sansa reunite after a long time. Arya and Bran, first time in a long time. Bran and Sansa reuniting for the first time in a very long time. And then you see the most iconic thing that's ever happened. I don't know why I'm stuttering at that moment. Sorry. But the biggest moment in Game of Thrones history finally happened in the 3rd episode of Season 7. Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen finally met. Holy shit. And we all wanted it to be like happy hunky-dory. No, obviously that was not going to work. Because these two are on complete opposite ends of things. And it's kind of, you know, confrontational. They're kind of going at each other. And then the next episode, they're a little bit more calm. But at the same time, she wants him to bend the knee. And he's like, I can't do that. Then episode 5, things got really interesting. Now, I'm interested to see what episode 6 is what's going to happen there. But in episode 5, it was really telling when he said that he was going to be leaving with Jorah. He was actually going to go across the wall and actually go find a white too. Khaleesi, Daenerys' face was like, what? Like, she was in utter shock. I think she was emotional. She was sad. It was hard to tell, but it felt like she was in utter shock that he was going to leave her, that he was actually going to leave. And I think that kind of really took her back, and then she had to throw in, well, I haven't given you permission to leave. And he's like, well, I don't need permission. I'm a king. I don't need your permission. But at the same time, it's like, okay, I get your point, John, but you can't tell that there's something there. Like, look, yes, we all know. Daenerys is his aunt. I get it. They're blood related, but can he not tell that something's going on there. He petted Drogon, and he's like, yeah, I'm out of here. You know, I could stay and try to figure out what the whole thing with me petting a dragon is, but I gotta get the hell out of here. I gotta go find a white because the war's coming, and god damn it, I need to stop it. I won't be able to stop it, but I have to try. Jon Snow is bound and determined. You know, there was a funny meme I did want to bring up real quick on Jon Snow. It was so damn funny. It's a meme of where it shows like all these different quotes from different characters. Like Daenerys is like, I want to take the Iron Throne. And then there's all these other characters giving quotes. And the last thing is Jon Snow. And they've used a picture of Jon Snow and put his face over some guy on the street holding up a sign saying the end is near. Because the whole joke is that that's all Jon Snow is a repeating record saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over. The Night King. Not the living dead, you know, the dead army. They're coming. They're the Night King. Oh god, the White Walkers. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. That's all he is. And he's making a good point, but at the same time, he's a broken record, a repeating record. What the fuck was I doing? This is what happens when I wing shit, okay? I have no fucking just idea. I'm just winging it and going, okay? This is what happens when I talk to myself, because I'm talking to myself, basically. I'm just recording talking to myself at this point. But I'm enjoying what's happening so far. I mean, people are getting a little bit nervous about Daenerys because she's kind of going a little bit crazy, but at the same time, she's not because she had to change her tactics. Like, that's one thing I did want to cover is that their argument is that Daenerys is getting more brutal and she's killing innocent people. She's going to war. Like, she's not being strategic. She's just going at it. Like, she literally flew in on Drogon in episode 4 and like just killed a ton of fucking people. And then in episode 5, she tells him to bend the knee or die. And then she kills, I forget his name, Tarly, the main guy, Sam's dad and Sam's brother. I believe it was Sam's brother. And she burns him alive. With no remorse, she burns them because they won't bend the knee. It's like, holy shit. Holy shit, Daenerys. But she had to do something drastic. Because it's like, okay, she had all these plans, she had all of her allies agreeing, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to go this route. This is how we're going to win this war. And they got demolished. Oh my god. They lost so much. She lost a lot of her allies in one fell swoop. It was bad. Like, you know, this is what happens on Game of Thrones. When you think something's going to go a certain way, it goes the complete opposite. That's the beauty of this show. If you think this is how it's going to happen, nope, you're wrong. You are dead ass wrong. And we all thought, as Daenerys fans, that Daenerys is going to fucking win this war because she's got strategy, and this is how she's going to win. Wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. That was not the case. She got her ass handed to her. And what a better way to respond? By going after the enemy head on after taking out one of your allies and flying in on a fucking dragon and taking the Dothraki and wrecking shit and killing some of your enemies and getting the rest of them to follow you and to be a part of your army. Like, she has one of the most ruthless armies that is out there. Like, even Jaime said, there's no way we can win. There's no fucking way we can win this. There's no way. We can try, but it don't matter. Like, we used that big spear, I forget what they call it, but they used it, and it hit Drogon. Did he die? No, he didn't. So that's not going to ultimately work unless you shoot him right to the head, which is a 1 in a million shot. So good luck with that. But I don't know. I guess my ultimate thing I've always talked about on live streams answering questions about Game of Thrones or just talking about it in general is that I honestly think that the ending of the show is not going to be human versus human in this sense. It's going to be literally everybody versus the White Walkers. Everybody versus the Night King. It's not going to be, okay, all these fighting of who's the queen and who's the right, who cares? Because when the Night King shows up, it's not going to fucking matter. What's going to matter is you defeating the Night King. You kill the Night King, realistically, all the other White Walkers and Whites should die. Realistically. Because the whole point of the idea of it is, I'm assuming, is that if you kill the Night King, all of them die. I guess. I don't fucking know. That's what I've been hearing forever. The rumors going around, because I've looked up always these rumors and theories and speculations on Game of Thrones. Once I got heavy into the show, That's all I did, was look up speculations and theories. And the speculation that's been going on forever with the Night King, besides his true identity and all that kind of stuff, is that the Night King dies, they all die. Because the Night King gives them all life. Whether it's an actual White Walker or a white, it doesn't matter. You kill the Night King, they all die. That's the theory. But who knows? Who knows what the truth is? Who knows? Maybe just killing the Night King just means that no more White Walkers can be created. No more whites can be created. I don't fucking know. That's the beauty of the show. There's so many unanswered questions. The biggest theory about the Night King that I found interesting, that I don't know if they're going to explore, I know this is not really Season 7 talk anymore, but whatever, I'm keeping it in a Season 7 talk, is that the Night King is actually Bran from the future, even though he's older. So Bran went back in time. Like, he's Bran from the past, but the future, it's weird. It's very weird. Like, the whole theory is that Bran, when he's older, works back in time, and he gets stuck there, and he becomes the Night King. It's really bizarre. Like, there's a lot of, like, thinking involved in that. My head's actually hurting. There's smoke coming out of my ears because it's a lot to take in. But obviously, I'm hoping we get all the answers to these questions we've had for so long, because I think they even answered one particular thing, that is that Rhaegar, Jon Snow's dad, was married to his mother. So it wasn't like I'm saying Daenerys. It wasn't like Rhaegar, and I forget Ned's sister's name. I keep forgetting that name. But it wasn't like he was illegitimate. Apparently, from what Gilly, I think that's her name, what Gilly was reading in episode 5, was that Rhaegar got married to a woman in Dorne in secret, and that implies that Jon Snow is the rightful heir to the throne, which would mean that Daenerys does not have the rightful heir, because her right of I'm the last Targaryen is bullshit. But she don't know that. Jon Snow doesn't know that. I don't know if Jon Snow's going to find out his true heritage in Season 7, but I think when he does, I don't know how he's going to respond. I think he's going to be like, I don't believe this. I don't believe this. No, Ned was my dad. Nope. Nope. You're a Targaryen. And if we're all still speculating, the rumor is that Jon Snow and Daenerys are going to hook up. And if that's the case, then like, hey, Jon Snow, you're a Targaryen. What? And, Daenerys, yeah, she's your aunt. Oh, fuck. I'm just like Jaime and Cersei. Not really. Jaime and Cersei are brother and sister. You get my point? It's going to be interesting. The show's been fucking intense. Every single episode for Season 7 has been phenomenal. Some episodes have been more of like setup, but they're still great. But yeah, we'll have to just wait and see what happens next. But yeah, I guess that's really the end of the podcast. I mean, this went a lot better than I thought it would, but at the same time, I'm just kind of winging it, rambling, bullshitting, whatever. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I mean, something different than another fucking reaction, right? I mean, look, I love reactions. I love doing them. But it's nice to do something a little bit different once in a while. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. So there you have it, guys. That is my revival podcast, Chainsaw Reacts podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, let me know in the comment section below. And if not, that's okay. It's whatever. I'm just having fun. Winging it, bullshitting. That's what I do. Talk to you guys later. Peace out.